What's going on, people? And thank you for joining me for another beer review / beer battle thing. It's Beer Monster O'Clock. So what am I doing today? You may be thinking, well, I'm going to be putting an EU imported Stella. I think it's a Belgian one, but I don't know. But it's a 5% Stella that I got from a corner shop. It appears to say that it's imported from Belgium, but I always thought Stella was 5.2 in Belgium, or maybe it's just 5.2 in the bottles. I don't know if anybody can answer that question. We shouldn't even have questions like this to answer because it should be the bloody same everywhere, shouldn't it? You know, I should be reviewing two of the same beers, just one out of a can and one's on the keg. But anyway, this is a 5% EU brewed version of Stella, which I presume to be Belgium. And I'm going to put it up against the Perfectdraft Stella in the machine there, which apparently used to be brewed in Belgium, but it's now brewed in the UK. But it's not the 4.6 one that we get here in the cans and the bottles, a really bad one. This one's still 5%. So would it be better than this import? I don't know. Let's find out, shall we? And just find out in general, like, review of the Perfectdraft Stella. And I'll see if I think it's any good. It's a very popular beer. It could be a deal sealer for some people. But yeah, I'll let you know what I think. I'm going to pour the one on the Perfectdraft and I'll start with the can first. So that makes sense. Give it a time to settle, because I've been having a bit of problem pouring the Stella, I must say. I don't know if it's the glass. I don't know if it's just me needing more practice. That'll do. That's not too bad. A bit of a big head on it, but you know, I like good head, so I'm not too fussed about that. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a minute. But I already have a slight concern, I must say. I'll let you know in a minute. Let's compare it to this one first, because it could just be me, you know. Right, this is a pint can. This cost me £2 for a pint of the EU imported Stella. Cost me £2, 5% and a pint, right? Perfectdraft Stella worked out £1.95 a pint on a Perfectdraft, so it's actually cheaper on a Perfectdraft at the minute because it's 25% off. So it's not always cheaper. Right, Beverages Glass. Now this is the Perfectdraft one. Right, I'm going to show you that one first, because to me that looks very flat. What do you think, guys? I'm only being honest, it looks flat to me. It's a very clear golden colour. It looks pretty dead. The head looks lovely and creamy, draft-like sort of head on it. Very, very slow carbonation and barely any of it at all. Maybe it won't taste flat, but it looks very flat in comparison to the canned version, which is of course EU imported. Let me just give the canned version a wipe, because you've got that cold haze, you know. There you go. Clearly well better carbonated. Not as good as, not as much head. Colour wise, very close. I would say the Belgium / Euro brewed one is just a tiny bit darker, but you know, barely noticeable. Anyway, let's check out the aromas of the canned imported one. Yeah. It definitely smells better from the shit we get over here, the 4.6 one, that's for sure. Doesn't have that arsey-like aroma to it, or if you have it from a bottle, it's skunky as anything. This one's got like a kind of biscuity, wafery like sweetness from the malts coming from it. Very nice. Bit grassy. But yeah, the most like thing that really stands out is them sort of sweet malts. It does smell pleasant. Let's check out the aroma of the Perfectdraft Stella. Less aroma. It doesn't have that kind of biscuity, wafer-like quality to the malts on the aroma anyway, for me. Maybe there is a hint of like a biscuity thing going on, but it's not as sweet smelling as the imported one, and it's just not as nice smelling. It doesn't really smell like much at all, to be honest with you. I'm also not getting the grass, like hills and like grassiness to the Perfect Draft one, but it's all in the taste, isn't it? I mean, to me though, concerningly looking flat, the Perfect Draft one. But, you know, I suffer with a bit of the old wind, so it could be a good thing, as long as it tastes all right. Cheers, everybody. Going in with the canned one first. Bosh. The imported canned one. Straight away. Forget about that versus that. That's so much better than the 4.6 one, which I was going to put in this video, but everybody knows it's shit by now, seriously. And I could only get a 4-pack, and I just don't want to buy 4 cans of shit. I know what it tastes like anyway. I've tried it out enough times hoping that I was wrong. Do you know what I mean? Because I used to really like Stella, this Stella, or the 5.2 Stella. This one's nice. This one's got good quality, a sweet malty taste to it. Again, like the aroma, it's kind of wafery, biscuity, like maltiness. Even this one, I would say, is a lot less carbonated than the UK brewed 4.6 Stella one, which is interesting because on a Perfect Draft it looks quite flat. The 4.6% RC swamp piss we get over here is really well carbonated. This one's quite gentle carbonation to it as well, not flat, just quite gentle on the carbonation. And on the finish, there's like kind of a weed-like grassiness to it, like not weed like, you know, that stuff, like stinging nettles sort of weeds, you know, them sort of weeds, not necessarily stinging nettles, but some sort of like weedy, grassy taste with a little bit of peppery spice for me, which is nice, and it's just giving the beer a nice finish towards the end, you know. It's not particularly bitter. I think it is classed as a Pilsner, but for me, this is not a Pilsner. On memory, the 5.2 one just had a bit of a, not a bite on the finish, but it just had an aftertaste, kind of wife beater like aftertaste that this 5% one doesn't have, but the quality in that's still there as far as the malts go. And even like the sort of, there's a nice grassy finish to it and that, but it just doesn't quite have that old aftertaste I remember in Stella. Like I'm saying, it's not a Pilsner like aftertaste, it just had a bit of oomph to it. You felt like you was, because it was drinking a stronger beer, you know. Maybe it was even an slight alcohol-y taste. It's been a long time since I had it now, because it's been a long time since it's been available in the UK. But this is still definitely better than the 4.6 stuff. But is it going to be better than the Perfect Draft stuff? I don't know. I'm quite enjoying this, so if Perfect Draft stuff is better, then I think everyone's a winner. Right, let's give it a go against it. Looks concerningly flat though, it's almost completely dead now. I mean, this could just be a dodgy keg. You know, the Becks I had certainly wasn't flat. Anyway, cheers everybody. Bosh. See if I think it's worth a buy. Ooh. Oh. It's not bad. Is it better though? It is a little bit flat. It's not like completely dead, but it's getting there to me, which is a worry. Maybe it's a bad keg. This one, you're getting that nice draft-like lacing on the glass, which you would expect from Perfect Draft Paul plant, which is very nice to have in your own home, you know. For me, this is not the same beer. They're both 5%. This is a as I say, imported either from Belgium or somewhere in Europe, 5% Stella. This is a Perfect Draft Stella. For me, they're not the same beer. For me, the Belgian one out of a can, or Europe, wherever it's from, is better. But you do get that quality from the like draft pour on the Perfect Draft one. It's not a bad pint. It's better than the 4.6 one as well. But it kind of feels like it's kind of caught in between the two. Like it's kind of partially like this imported one and partially like our swamp watery arsey one in the UK. It feels like kind of a bit in the middle, you know. And whether that's because it's brewed in the UK now and they've had to sacrifice the water quality, I don't know. I don't know much about the brewing of the beer. But obviously it's like 95% water in beer, isn't it? And being brewed in the UK, we're not really known for the water quality. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's just not holding up against this one for me. Slightly less body, definitely less flavoursome. Quite similar on the start with a nice, decent malt quality to the beer. My issue with this Perfect Draft one is it seems to have inherited a bit of the aftertaste from the 4.6 Stella. That kind of slightly arse-like aftertaste. Now it's not full on bum crack like the 4.6 Stella, but it's just subtle hints of arse, you know. It's not enough to ruin the beer, but it's enough to stop me personally buying it again at full price. 25% off, £2 a pint, £1.95 a pint. Yeah, I can dig it. You know, it's drinkable. I'm not calling it bad, but I just don't think. I think they've made a mistake by not getting the Belgian brewed Stella. You're buying a Perfect Draft. That's one of the reasons you're buying it for. You know, you want the proper versions of the beer. And I never got to try out what it was like before. Perhaps it was this version, the sort of imported one, but not actually Belgium. I don't know, because it was 5%. It was never 5.2, was it? But just the whole bullshit of everything just annoys me. Why is there so many different versions of the same bloody beer? I don't mind Stella Unfiltered because that's a different beer. That's an unfiltered version of Stella. Though these are supposed to be the same. And the same as like our 4.6 one. We shouldn't even be having these stupid, ridiculous beer battles, putting the same beers against each other. The whole thing's a joke. Let's be honest. No matter whether you agree with my review or not, I shouldn't be having to make this review. And I'm sure you can agree with that. The whole thing is just a piss take. We're being treated like fucking idiots here. Do you know what I mean? Why am I trying to tell the difference between two beers that should be exactly the bloody same? Apart from one's draft and one's not. These are definitely not the same beer. There's no doubt about it. Beer reviewer or not, they're not the same beer. They're the same ABV. They've got the same name, but they do not taste the same. And the more I'm drinking, the bigger the gap's getting. The arsehole's starting to get a bit more pronounced on the Perfect Draft one. It's not a lot. It is just a tiny hint. It's just got a tiny bit of that 4.6 can like vibe to it. And it's enough just to pee me off enough to not sort of give this keg like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. But I still don't think it's bad. For £1.95 a pint, which I got it for, I do think it represents good value. Because let's face it, if you go around the pub here in the UK, you're going to pay £5-6 for a pint of the 4.6 one. This is better than that, and you can have it at home for £2. So I'm not like going bollocks deep, have some of that, my old son, sort of on it. But I'm still not happy. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just the principle, partly. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, the Perfect Draft Stella. 7 out of 10. I'm going to give whatever version of this Stella is, whether it's the Belgian one or the Euro one, an 8.5. I think it's nice. I've only had 2 kegs on the Perfect Draft so far on my little Perfect Draft journey. And personally, I think the Beck's was definitely better than the Stella. That's just my opinions. Let me know your opinions. What's your favourite kegs on the Perfect Draft? Do you agree with this video? Do you think I'm talking crap? Whether I'm talking crap or not, these are my own opinions. And I'm disappointed with Perfectdraft Stella at the end of the day. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hit the like button if you made it this far. I'd really appreciate that. It just helps the algorithms or some shit like that. It don't cost no money, so that would be appreciated if you're a fan of the channel or whatever. And consider subscribing if you're not, and become a beer monster if there's a membership there for 99p if you wanna, or just follow the channel and support me, exposing these sort of companies and all that, and just having a bit of fun drinking beer and letting you know what I think. Until next one, people. Bye bye, darlings. Bye.